Good afternoon. I'm here today to talk to you about the Farm Data Capture Tool, a digital tool we developed with Esri to help catchment-sensitive farming advisors capture and manage data out on farm. I'm Helen Merchant, and I used to be a farm advisor, and I also farm with my husband on the family farm on the edge of Dartmoor. So today I'm going to cover why we developed the tool, what problem it was trying to solve, how the tool works in practice, and finally, some of the benefits the tool is already starting to make. Before I go into the detail about the tool itself, I just want to set a bit of context about Natural England and the place that we're currently working in. Natural England is the UK government advisor to the natural environment in England, of the natural environment in England. Its work is protect, restore, and improve nature and landscapes, ensuring the environment can be enjoyed now and for future generations. Natural England set out an ambitious operational strategy last autumn called Recovering Nature for Growth, Health, and Security. And this strategy focuses on three key areas: recovering nature at scale, streamlined outcome-based regulation, and embedding nature into economic growth, health, and well-being. And the key point to note here is Natural England's strategy places farmers and land managers at the heart of nature recovery, recognising the essential role that they play in restoring ecosystems while producing food. So just a bit of context about where our farm advisors are currently working in. Farming, as you probably agree, is essential to national food security and economic stability. 70% of our land is managed and farmed by farmers. And approximately 65% of the food that we currently eat, the lunch that you had today, is produced by our farmers, which is about 2/3 of our food on our plates. However, there are multiple stresses currently affecting UK farmers: volatile markets, rising input costs, red diesel and fertiliser costs have risen significantly recently due to the current war in Iran, and unpredictable and extreme weather events. We had the drought of last year, the high winds down in Cornwall at the beginning of the year, and extreme heavy rainfall events all make farming challenging. There also is an environmental impact on farming. About 60% of the nitrates in water bodies comes from farming. Around 20% of phosphorus in water originates from agricultural land. And around 75% of sediment in rivers comes from our fields. However, there are practical actions that farmers can take to address these issues, whilst at the same time having an impact on environmental outcomes and their farm businesses. So this is the building block where catchment-sensitive farming fits in. So catchment-sensitive farming, or CSF. Here in the pictures, a couple of my catchment-sensitive farming colleagues with two key farmers in their catchment, building strong relationships to get that environmental action and also having a benefit on their farm business. So catchment-sensitive farming is funded by DEFRA and is a farm advisory service offering free and confidential advice to farmers and land managers. Catchment-sensitive farming advisors are a bridge between policy and practice. They provide trusted local and practical support, enables farmers and land managers to deliver environmental outcomes whilst maintaining productive and resilient businesses. CSF works with farmers to produce foods in ways that protects the water, air and soil, and minimising losses whilst maximising efficiencies. CSF is led by Natural England and is in partnership with DEFRA, the Environment Agency and the Forestry Commission. Since its engagement, catchment sensitive farming started in 2006, we've engaged with nearly 29,000 farmers, which is approximately 50% of the farmers in England. And with that, we've delivered over 100,000 positive actions which farmers have implemented. And I'm pleased to say that that has resulted in between 4 and 12% reduction in pollutants in target areas. So moving on to the advisor's role. Every advisor is locally based and understands the environmental challenges, opportunities unique to their catchment. CSF focuses support on farms where improvements have the biggest impact. The advisor's role blends practical farm knowledge, environmental expertise, partnership working, and most importantly, relationship building. A key element is those trusted relationship with farmers. And one of the core things that the advisors do is one-to-one farm visits out on farm. They walk the farm with the farmer, understand how the farm works, understand what the issues are, and talking with the farmer, identifying realistic actions that farmer can take to both improve environmental outcomes and have benefits to their farm business. But what's crucial here is that the data captured on these visits needs to be recorded to help build those relationships over time. And that data needs to be consistently captured. So moving on to the problem. This is my colleague Kelly. She's a catchment sensitive farm advisor and demonstrating how we used to capture information out on farm, all on clipboard and paper. So paper maps, paper notes, separate photos, all being stored in different places. This inconsistency of approach led to fragmented data and loss of corporate memory, especially where we've had staff turnover in catchments. So the goal here was to improve the relationships that we built with farmers and standardise data capture and management going forward. To identify the requirements, I ran some workshops with our catchment sensitive farming advisors. At the end of the day, they were the ones that are going to be using the tools, so they need to identify what they needed from a tool, a digital tool, out on farm. So these requirements were identified. The key thing was it had to be work offline. You know, some of our remote farms definitely haven't got any mobile phone signal, so we needed to be able to access any information offline. We needed to be able to have some pre-populated data. We need to be able to sort of combine sort of structured questions and tick boxes with free text. We needed to be able to enable map markups, so we can make notes, digital notes on the maps out on farm. Capture and geotag photos, this was very important. And be able to sort of show map layers out on farm. The maps, data sets are some of the key tools to help engage with the farmer. And most importantly, that this tool was to support the entire workflow the catchment sensitive farm advisor did from pre-visit, on farm, and post-visit follow-up. So there's 3 different elements to the farm data capture tool. There's the exploratory tool, or farm visits map. There's the farm data capture tool that's actually out on farm on your smartphone or tablet. And then there's the dashboard to give that more overview of the data and what visits have been delivered and what visits have been planned. So next I'm going to go into a bit more detail and walk you through the before, during and after visit. So first off is the exploratory tool, and this is built in ArcGIS Builder. Here, the advisors plan their visits, understand where the farm fits within the catchment. So this actually is a map of our farm, just on the edge of Dartmoor, and obviously really useful to have aerial photography, because that really shows sort of how a farm fits within the catchment. The orange lines denote the field boundaries. The purple triangles just show where previous farm assessments have been had. And the yellow dots are farm parcel assessments. I'll explain in a bit what those actually mean. So within this exploratory tool, it's sort of where you can look at where the farm sits within the catchment, where there's protected sites, where there's rivers and connectivity, what previous grant applications the farmer has had, what previous engagement we've had with them. So it just gives a really good picture of where that farmer is and how to sort of pitch that engagement when the advisor goes out on farm. And this provides, just helps me to get focused, more informed conversations. So these are the screens that you see out on farm. So obviously the left screen is the ArcGIS Field Maps login page. And obviously the advisor will log in when they're out on farm. The great thing about the Field Map apps is that it geolocates you. So you'll see on the map there, the second map, at the bottom of the screen, there's a little bit of a grey spot. And that's where I was stood when I took that photo. Again, this is of our farm. And this will follow you around the farm. So it will sort of help geotag keynotes of interest, geotag photos. You know, it's great to be able to have a conversation point, and it has got maps on there as well. The third screen there shows one data set which we find really, really useful to show farmers out on farm. It's called an overland flow pathway. So it doesn't just show where the river and stream networks is. This is if there's a extreme heavy rainfall event where the water is flowing across that farm. So we can identify where there's going to be issues of sediment runoff and sort of then start to understand what solutions we can put in place to slow the flow of water across that land. And the final screen is there on how to add showing an active farm assessment. So there are two forms of data capture. There's the farm assessment, which is where you're capturing farm scale information, obviously who you're speaking to on the farm, what the stocking and cropping, what type of livestock they've got and their numbers, and the type of crops that they've got in their farm. Whereas the parcel level assessment is more to do at field level, and this is to identify key issues where there's soil compaction, where there's issues with runoff, if there's a location of a gate in the wrong way, which is speeding up the runoff of water. So you're able to geotag some of those notes to be able to sort of identify opportunities to discuss with the farmer. Or obviously you're discussing the farm with the farmer while you're walking the land with them as well. I think the crucial thing here is that we can be taken offline, and it gives the advisors confidence that this information is going to be backed up and it gets synced when they're back in an online environment. So once they've captured all that information, built that relationship with the farmer, agreed some actions they're going to take, they go back into the office and do the post-visit sort of analysis. They might want to add to the information they've captured both at the field level and the farm level, just because they might only want to take sort of brief notes when they're in with the farmer, because obviously the key thing with it is that we're building that relationship with the farmer. And from all that information that we've captured, we usually try and capture 3 recommendations that that farmer can do to help deliver some environmental improvements on the farm. And usually they do have benefits to the farm business as well. So the benefits of this, it saves advisor time, and also it's a clear, sort of consistent farmer output as well. We also have sort of post-visit sort of reporting that sort of helps provide a standard format to emails and reports sent back to the farmer. And finally, the dashboard. This dashboard helps give the advisors a really good overview of their catchment, what's been delivered in the catchment, and what visits have been coming up, and sort of understand what the customer journey is that farmer's been on, what engagement they've had to date, what follow-up we want to give to continue that farmer on the customer journey. It shows sort of activity follow-ups and patterns in working down a sort of a subcatchment of a river to understand which farmers that we've engaged with and which farmers we still want to be working with. It helps us with targeting, consistency, and spatial insight. So moving on to the benefits. This tool has enabled the advisors to have greater consistency. We've now got all the data that has been captured on farm all in one place. Stronger corporate memory. When we do get a turnover of staff, whoever comes in to replace that advisor knows exactly where to look, where all that visit information has been, what relationships we've built with that farmer to date, and where we need to be taking them going forward. Clear visual records to show what activity we've done in the catchment. And time savings, obviously with everything in one place, and be able to capture stuff digitally out on farm is proving to have significant benefits. And this ultimately is helping us deliver better outcomes for nature recovery going forward. So we launched the tool last year, and there's been steady adoption of the tool across all the advisors. Obviously, there's been early adopters, some have been using it more than others. The more digitally savvy ones have got on and used the tool and really, really like the tool and been using it comprehensively. Obviously, there's some that have been a little bit more nervous of the digital and changing in practices. But we've put lots of different support mechanisms in there. We've got a digital hub we've set up that helps advisors. All the guidance is all in one place. We developed introductory videos with Esri to help sort of step-by-step guide on how to use the different elements of the tool. And we've also set up a lead users network. So the early adopters, those that have got out and embraced using the tool, are now helping others to gain the benefits of using the tools. And the good thing here is as well that what we've developed here within catchment sensitive farming is scalable. There are other farm and land management advice work streams within Natural England, and we're looking to roll it out wider going forward. So, in summary, this isn't just a digital bit of tech. This is supporting an entire workflow from pre-application, on-farm data capture, and post-visit follow-up. It's helping us to strengthen farmer relationships and creates a consistent approach for us to take forward. It's a single trusted data source, and the key outcomes is there's less admin, more time for delivering change out on farm. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you, Helen, for the amazing session. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Priya, and I'm joined by my colleague, Josh. Today, we would be exploring advanced data capture and workflow with ArcGIS in ArcGIS Field Maps. So, let's get started. Today's session will cover configuring ArcGIS in pop-ups and forms, and how to work with tasks and related records. Now let's see how this fits into the operation in ArcGIS Field Maps. So ArcGIS Field Maps brings everything to your field team needed into one simple mobile application. It starts with planning and coordination, making sure everything is organized before field team went ahead to the team in the field. Next comes awareness, where field workers have the right information at the right time and to make a confident and informed decision on site. Next is data capture. Using smart forms, team can record asset condition, take a photo, log inspection dates, ensures the data is accurate and consistently, immediately available. And finally, integration. Everything syncs seamlessly across the ArcGIS, keeping field and office team fully aligned. Now, to enable all these capabilities in ArcGIS Field Maps, Arcade plays a key role. So moving to the Arcade in ArcGIS Field Map, Arcade is a lightweighted expression language used across the ArcGIS system to add logic and intelligence to your map and workflow without needing any complex coding. In ArcGIS Field Map, Arcade is used in a number of ways. It plays a key role in map and symbology, allowing you to style the features dynamically based on the data. It enhances the smart form by making them more dynamic, for example, showing or hiding field, applying calculation automatically. It supports tasks and workflows, helping the users through what they need to do in the field. With geofence, Arcade trigger location-based behavior, adding context-aware actions. Now let's look at a practical example of how this works, starting with pop-up in MapViewer. A big thank you to Nottingham City Council for including their streetlight dataset on their open data portal. We have adapted their streetlight dataset for our frictional asset maintenance scenario. So let's see a quick demo of configuring pop-up using Arcade. Now in the map view, we have started by selecting pop-up to configure the task priority. On the right-hand side, you can see the functions and features we can work with. Here I have created an expression called priority, selecting the priority field, applying the function to format the value for a better display. Then we have added this into the pop-up as a text element. Here I type the priority of the task and call the expression priority here. Once I click OK, we can see the pop-up showing up the priority of the task is low. Next, we have configured another Arcade expression to represent the condition of the street light. So I'm going to copy paste the script already which I have here. So the symbology changes dynamically based on the status, whether it's a faulty, under maintenance, in working, or repaired. We applied HTML styling through the Arcade expression to dynamically color the text based on the feature status, making the condition immediately visible. Next, we have calculated the nearest street light and the distance between the street light. So I already have the script ready, so I'm going to copy and paste the script here again. This Arcade expression loops through all the features in the layers, keeps the current one, compute the distance, and identify the closest street light, returning the clear message showing how far away it is. Now, we can change accordingly the pop-up where we want to see the pop-up in the according location where we want to see the pop-ups. Now what we have just seen in the pop-up is one part of how Arcade enhances the user experience in the field. Moving on to the smart form, when it comes to the smart form in ArcGIS Field Map, they are designed making collecting and updating the data simple and structured and consistent way. They allow you to create, edit data directly within the ArcGIS system using the structured form, ensuring everything is standardized and easy to manage. You can build this form in the tool like Field Map Designer depending upon your workflow. one of the key benefits is its flexibility and reusability. The same form can be used across the multiple platforms like Map Viewer, Web Editor, Experience Builder, and custom web maps. Now, extending this further, let's look at the ArcGIS Assistant. The ArcGIS Assistant Beta uses the artificial intelligence to generate the ArcGIS expression from the natural language instructions. To use it effectively, ensure your organization settings has AI Assistant enabled. Keep your instruction concise and clear. If needed, refine or rephrase your prompt to get the desired output. Now let's move on to a demo inside ArcGIS Field Map Designer, and let's see an example of ArcGIS Assistant. So here I am in where we have created the Nottingham streetlight inspections, streetlight subsection with some of the areas. So as you can see this form, it has a couple of questions here. So generally when we work with a Field Map Designer in order to create a form, we work with three types of logic, which is editable, required, visible. In this streetlight form example, we have added several calculated expressions. So let's see an example. First, we have calculated the name of the inspector instead of manually typing it in the form. So I already have this pre-configured, so I'm going to open that in the ArcGIS editor. So this is a script where we are calling in to ensure the consistency and remove the manual error by pulling in the logged in user. So if I run this, I can see the full name of mine in output. Next, we determine whether the streetlight needs replacement. So I click on calculated expression. So this is a simple rule-based check. If the bulb type is halogen, then system automatically flags the replacement as yes, otherwise no. This helps to standardize the maintenance decision. After that, we have calculated the due date for inspection. So I click on the calculated expression, which I already pre-configured. So here, the logic is based on the condition of the streetlight. If it's a faulty, then inspect in 7 days. If it's under maintenance, 15 days. In working order, 25 days, and repaired in 60 days. This ensures that the inspections are prioritized based on the asset condition without manual scheduling. Finally, we move on to the target resolution date. Here we have used ArcGIS Assistant in order to generate this target resolution date. So in order to use the AI ArcGIS Assistant, we click here and we put the prompt which we want to have it. We need to click on generate. It takes a couple of minutes to get the results in. I already run that previously, and as you can see the script on the left hand side here. So it has all the information. In order to make sure if it's running fine, just run it and confirm it's working as expected. So as you can see, the expected dates are coming through. So basically here we are asking the ArcGIS Assistant to generate the 3 business dates into the future, excluding the weekends. The assistant then generates the ArcGIS expression, which we can directly use or refine further needed. So overall, the goal here is to automate the field decision, reduce the manual input, make the forms more intelligent using the ArcGIS and AI support. Now I would be handing over to Josh.
Thanks, Priya. So I'm going to pick it up from here and talk about tasks in field maps and how related data fits in. So tasks are about turning that data into actual work, and It can be planned, assigned, and tracked. So what are tasks? At a simple level, a task is just a piece of work at a location assigned to someone. And this is built directly into field maps, which means field workers won't require any additional apps. Their maps, their forms, and their work all live in the same place, which makes things clearer for the people doing the job, and it gives managers visibility without extra overhead. And if you've used Workforce before, tasks are its long-term replacement. So let's have a look at why tasks matter. And the biggest benefit of all is clarity. Everyone can see what work exists, who owns it, and what state in, without us chasing emails or phone calls. Because priority and status are built in, the task becomes a single source of truth. And because tasks are just feature layers, that same data feeds reporting, dashboards, and any further analysis back in the office. So how does Field Maps support tasks? So we have two pieces. We have the Field Maps Designer, and we have the mobile app. And what you configure in the designer is exactly what the field worker will see in the map itself. So if we talk at some of the benefits, and this is what I've seen with our customers using tasks. So the first is consistency. Tasks introduced standardized workflows, so they're carried out the same way, regardless of who is doing it or where they are doing it. Second is flexibility. It works online and offline, so there's no rigid planning or connectivity rules to be put in place. Third is efficiency. Everything happens in a single app. There's no switching between systems to find work, collect the data, or report progress. And finally is accountability. Every task has a clear ownership and status, so it's always obvious who is responsible and how work is progressing. So I'm going to give you a quick demo on how easy it is to enable tasks, how to configure and then use them, and then we'll have a quick video on how it will look in the mobile app itself. So I've signed into my ArcGIS Online account and I've gone to Field Maps Designer. I'm going to start with a new map. I'm going to start with no layers because we've already predefined our feature layer and defined what schema we would be collecting against. I will give it a title. And then we're into the designer itself. I need to add my layer. And then I would hit save. I select my layer on the side, I go to tasks, and I click enable. That's step 1 done. I'm going to start with default configuration, because generally out of the box, it works fine. And what task does at this point, it adds a handful of fields already, which then you can go in and edit them or change them to your own fields. Once tasks are enabled, we can see the different filters, what are there on the screen. And if we go to the form, we can then see what is available. On the right, we have the elements that we can put into the form, and we also have the fields of the data from underneath. And then the field worker in the application will be able to see what has been assigned to them. In the top, we have the filters, and we can also pre-configure some ourselves. We can click on a task. We can see what information is currently being stored about that. We can see some of the stuff from Priya. We can hit start, and now that job is live. I'm then going to click edit, and then if I need to, I can move the location. I can decide what to change in the fields. I can use smart forms to then have what deciding fields like that there, so I'm changing it to in working order. And once we're happy, we would hit submit. The top bar is customizable. We're going to click on the more section here, and you can change in which order and which priority those buttons are. And once we're finished, we'll hit finish, and then if we scroll down, we can see the status is now being changed to completed. And the final piece I want to cover is related data. So if we start by why related data matters. So as we know, most assets in reality rarely exist on their own. A tree, street lamp, or a site is usually inspected and maintained multiple times over its lifetime. It could have photos, defects, maintenance history associated with it. And if we try to store all that data on a single record, the data model quickly becomes messy and hard to manage. And related tables allow us to manage this properly. Instead of flattening everything into a single table, we can use multiple table and relationship classes to connect them all together. This reflects how real world works and scales much better over time. So let's have a look at some of the benefits. First, it avoids repeating asset attributions. Things like location or asset ID live once on the data set rather than being copied onto every inspection or defect record. Second, it supports repeat activities over time. Each activity becomes a separate record, so we build a proper history of an overwriting previous information. Third, it improves the data quality and consistency because each record has a clear purpose and structure. Finally, it unlocks much better reporting analysis in the back end. And because it's stored properly, we can analyse trends, performance, and change over time. So the related data in Field Maps itself, a worker can view the records, we can add new records whilst they're on site, we can attach photos and media, and this is all from the one feature itself. As Priya mentioned earlier, we can also use smart forms, and these can be also used in related records, which lets us control how data is captured, define what fields are required and what default scope can be used. And we can show what is only relevant with Arcade, and this is all a simple mobile experience. And if we have a quick look at what this looks like with rated records, we can see here we're going to zoom into the nearest street lamp and we can see what information has been given. If we scroll all the way to the bottom, there is a related section. And here we have streetlight specifications. And from here we can see what information is there. We can edit at the top, we can update, change, or decide what we want. And once we're done, we hit submit at the top, and then that data record table has now been updated itself. So to wrap up, we've seen how ArcGIS Field Maps brings everything together, from its core functionality and smart data capture to advanced capabilities like Arcade, tasks, and related data. We've looked at how pop-ups, symbology, and related records help provide more context and improve decision-making in the field. We would have loved to show you more capabilities such as geofencing, but we only had a small fraction of your time. Overall, it's all about creating a more connected, efficient workflows between the field and the office, which helps teams work smarter, faster, and with better data. Thank you very much for listening.